Yay.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
And thank you for all of you who are joining us for recording of this episode of the Attractions Podcast. We've
Yes.
got both of us here at our usual time, and we've got some very exciting stuff to talk about.
We do. I feel like, some weeks there's like really big news, others quieter, but there's definitely some exciting things happening.
Well, you've had an exciting trip, and I cannot wait for everyone to hear about it. Before we jump into that, let's say hello to some of our friends who are already in the chat, starting with Vince Lamb, wishing Mickey Mouse a happy birthday.
Yes.
And also, he's celebrating National Princess Day. Vince, which princess have you dressed up as today? I want to know. And Michael Bingham, thank you, Michael, for your journalistic reporting. He discovered that they have brought pizza skulls back to the mess
Thank
tent
God.
outside the King Kong ride, Skull Island, over at Islands of Adventure. They had disappeared for a little while, so I'm glad to hear that they are back. And he got to check out the Wicked experience. I did as well, and we will definitely be talking about that this episode.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear about that for sure.
Saying hello to Blossom and Michelangelo in Derek's Corner. Welcome. And yes, Brian Sager is also wishing Mickey, and we always say Mickey's birthday, but Minnie appeared the first time. Minnie, yes, 96 years ago. We will not be discussing the Tyson versus Paul Netflix buffering match. That will not be a topic of conversation. I gotta draw the line somewhere. I just can't. But I can I can say we do have a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and since we've got 40-something people already tuned in, what do you say we jump on in and kick this thing off? All right,
let's do it.
Here we go in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I'm Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we're here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. Carly, I know you have had a very exciting week, and I cannot wait to hear all about it.
Yes, it was incredible. I attended the Disneyland grand opening for Tiana's Bayou Adventure West.
Jealous.
Yes, it was an amazing event. I love the ride, and I love it even more. I know we're going to talk a little bit later on.
We're gonna deep dive into the ride for sure. I want to hear all of your hot takes on the Disneyland version versus the Walt Disney World version, now that you've been on both and I have not. Super jealous. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about what else happened during the event and around your trip out there.
No, it was a really well done event. First off, it's so nice to be in a theme park and not sweating my butt off. Like, I forgot how much I just appreciate going to an event and not feeling like I'm drip sweating before I even get there. Little semantics that make all the difference. I just have to say it was an incredible event. Very thankful to go. My favorite was the big surprise was Anika Nani Rose and Mama Odie sang. I'm sure a lot of people saw the videos as the riverboat went by, and that was the grand finale of the
That's
event.
amazing. And you didn't know that was going to happen until it happened?
No, it just had a special performance.
That's amazing.
Also, one of the times I was riding it, Mama Odie was in the group in front of me, and she was just like clapping and singing. I mean, like, she like just exudes pure joy and seems like really happy to be a part of the film and like the Disney family. So it was incredible seeing that. Definitely magical. And also, I mean, we're going to talk more about Tiana's later, so we could save some of those for the attraction.
Yes.
Also, this was the start of Disneyland holidays.
Yes.
So I got to attend the first day of Festival Holidays, which is one of my favorite Disney food festivals.
Any highlights?
Yes. There were actually quite a few highlights. I was with a group, which I always love doing it so that you could try. We literally tried like everything. It's the only way to do it. It's so hard by
Yep.
yourself. But the sticky toffee macaron, that's Mickey shaped, that's
Mm.
adorable, was amazing. And I'm not even a sweets person, and everyone agreed that it was like the best bite. I also loved the holiday mash bowl, which is kind of like a fancy KFC mashed potato bowl. And I actually got it like twice in the same day because it was
Wow.
so good. Yeah. I
Worth the
mean,
carbs.
yes, there was definitely a lot of highlights if you head there. I mean, I just love the holidays at Disneyland just hit different. I think it's like the charm of the park plus Christmas. I don't know. It's just like a different vibe than Disney World.
I was actually furiously searching flights to try to find an affordable combination of flights out there from Orlando, just so I could check out some of that holiday stuff. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad you were able to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had not gonna maybe not gonna get out to see Disneyland's, but I did get to see SeaWorld's holiday celebration, or at least I got a tiny little taste of it. I was out there briefly on Saturday, and the food booths were not open yet, but I did get to see the decor around the parks and the Elmo show that they do in the
Oh,
Seaport Theater, which is just adorable. And I got to say, everyone in the cast was great, but whoever is friends with Cookie Monster was really, really working it up on that stage, just busting a move.
I love that. So
Lot
it's
of
always
lot of
great when
fun.
you can hyper focus on like Shrek in the new DreamWorks show. I
Yeah,
always am obsessed with him because it's like he just really puts in the moves.
yeah. Um, And I also got to head over to the Swan and Dolphin for the first time. Got to attend their Food and Wine Classic, which only runs 2 days, so it's much smaller event than the Food and Wine event over at Epcot. But it was kind of overwhelming how much they crammed into that event. It was only 4 hours, and I should, if I ever go back, I will be sure to show up right when it starts, because trying to taste everything in just 4 hours is almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I think I love Food and Wine Classic there, and I think people didn't realize like it's all you can eat and drink, so you
and
have to
and
get
I,
there
I
early. And
I took advantage of that. They had Florida section way in the back corner with a live band, and they're grilling fresh Florida oysters topped with hot sauce. And I had more than my share of those. I also had more than my share of Japanese whiskey highballs that they were
oh,
dispensing. Yeah.
yeah. If you
And,
eat and drink, you can definitely get your money's worth
uh,
at this event. But also, even if you don't, it's such a fun atmosphere. I love seeing the lights up on the Dolphin. I mean, it's just an
yeah,
awesome night out.
the projections on the facade of the hotel, they
Mm.
had a bunch of great bands up on the stage, really creating a great party atmosphere. It was packed shoulder to shoulder, but I never really waited very long for any of the food booths. They were really churning stuff
They
out.
were.
And it's all for a great cause. It benefits the Wounded Warrior Project. So put that on your calendar for next year. If you like to eat large quantities of fancy food and lots of wine, the only thing I would suggest is bring your own refillable water bottle. They had a sponsorship by Fiji Water, and they were handing out bottles of water, which were all gone long before the end of the night. And with that much wine, you're going to want to drink some water.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's such a great deal. I mean, I easily will drop like 100 at Epcot Food and Wine and like
Mhm.
not have a buzz and still be snacking.
Yes.
And this is like obviously you're spending a little more up front, but
Yeah.
you really get it. And I think the quality of food is like so
Yeah.
good. I
I
mean,
mean,
Swan and Dolphin.
if you've ever wanted to have sushi from Kimonos or steak from
Yes.
Shula's, and you can't take that price, it's, when you divide it up, if you're a big eater, you can probably get your $200 worth in wine alone, probably.
Absolutely. Did you have anything from Rosa Mexicana?
Yeah, we had excellent fish tacos from
Oh,
them. Fish tacos and cauliflower tacos also were
that sounds
really,
amazing.
really good. Yeah.
I love Rosa Mexicana. So good.
All right. Well, we've got, and I had one more adventure this week that we will talk about in just a moment,
Yes.
just as soon as we jump into the news in the queue. All right, we're going to start out this week with a little bit of Epic Universe news. We've been talking about it for years, it seems like, but the general public who does not pay attention to theme parks is just really finding out about Epic Universe now, thanks to the first Epic Universe commercials airing on national TV.
Yes.
We're kind of in our own media bubble, I'm sure, in our social media or whatever the algorithm feeds to us. So we hear all about Epic Universe, but for your average person in middle America, they have no clue that this is going on. So this is kind of a big deal for them to be broadcasting not just one, but there's actually been 3 different commercials so far, according to iSpot.tv, which is a database of video ads. One covers the park overall, and then they've done specific ads for Dark Universe and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And they've aired on places such as the USA Network during Chicago PD and Bravo during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So these are not targeting people who are already theme park fans. These are just targeting your average middle Americans and letting them know what's going on.
Yes. I mean, I think the Real Housewives one is perfect because that
Yeah.
franchise is like women dominated, and women usually are the ones planning the vacations, just like statistically.
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. Yeah. So this is kind of introducing the general public to the concept of Epic Universe. The commercials really lean into this portal imagery, people seeing these portals, which we know we're going to walk through to get into the different themed lands, appearing in people's backyards or in a parking lot, and them getting sucked into it. They reference the Isle of Berk, the Wizarding World, the Dark Universe, which I actually thought was the best commercial of them,
Yeah.
and also Super Nintendo World. And it looks like they've taken a lot of the CGI render fly-throughs that we've seen before and kind of green screened people into them to simulate what the experience of being on these rides is going to be like.
Yes. Now it's getting real,
Yeah.
like it really feels like that.
If you're in Orlando, it's unbelievably real.
Yes.
I'm excited for this because it means that they are spending money on marketing. We all know from the movie industry, it's not enough to make it; you've got to market it so people come and see it. I also, though, have a little bit of PTSD from the early days of Islands of Adventure. I don't know if anyone else remembers back when it was called Universal Studios Escape, and there were a bunch of very confusing commercials
Yeah.
that looked really cool. The most memorable in my memory was the one where a kid is on a plane and sees Spider-Man and Doc Octopus fighting on the wing of their airplane, kind of like Bill Shatner in the old Twilight Zone episode.
Yes.
But the commercials in a lot of ways kind of backfired because people were confused about what exactly Islands of Adventure was and what Universal Studios Escape was. They did not bring people in the way that they hoped. So I really hope that these ads do a better job of communicating to the general public what's going on.
Yes. And then, now they have Harry Potter and Nintendo. So it's like, what more do you need maybe from brand recognition? And I don't know. I feel like these will do a great job. And I mean, they're already running, so this is perfect timing.
Yeah. This is just the start of a advertising campaign that is just going to build and build all the way through next summer. And we are helping build the hype. We've got a whole Epic Universe hub over on our website, attractionsmagazine.com, where you can follow all of the Epic news.
Yes.
Speaking of Universal, something I got to do this week was head over bright and early for the soft opening for the media of the Wicked Experience, which is now open to the public inside Universal Studios Florida, and got to chat a little bit with some folks from the visual merchandising team and walk through the experience. And I got to say, I miss Hello Kitty. I'm sorry Hello Kitty had to go,
I know.
but this is definitely an upgrade over the Hello. They truly did a really great job designing out this whole space. And I've been kind of lukewarm about how I feel about the Wicked movie. I walked out of this experience a lot more excited to go and see the film that is opening up on the 22nd.
I'm in the same shoes as you. I hate to say I don't care, but I feel like, yes, an experience like this could change my tune a little bit, and I'm excited to hear exactly what it is.
Yeah. So here's the story. They have taken over what used to be the Hello Kitty store, the Betty Boop store, and the Universal
Streetwear.
trendy streetwear
Yeah.
store, all combined in the front of the park, and turned it into a walk-through Wicked experience, which officially opened on November 16th. And it's going to stay open indefinitely. I talked with the team, and they said they hope that this will stay open through the year, and then the next movie, which I guess they haven't really told people that when you go see Wicked, it's going to end at intermission and leave you on a cliffhanger, and you're going to have to come back next holiday season. So
Speaking
hopefully,
of marketing, so bizarre.
so hopefully they will be able to update the shop or update the experience with some additional items themed to the second film, but they think this is going to stick around for a little while. So you walk in on the yellow brick road, walk into a little antechamber, and then basically you have a succession of rooms themed to different parts or different scenes in the movie, and each one has prop or costume displays. Now, what I will say is that everything in here is what they call an original replica.
Mm.
And I asked what that means exactly. Basically, there were the costumes that were made to actually be worn by the actors and used in the movie. And then there are costumes and props here that were designed using the same molds, the same models, the same plans, a lot of the same people who built the ones. Basically, they made additional duplicates for use in places like Universal that were not actually used in the movie, but are basically identical to the ones used in the movie.
So I guess the originals are at like the Smithsonian, or
yeah, those are in the vault,
Yeah.
or maybe stolen by the actors. But so all of these are basically exact replicas of what was used in the movies, with one exception. There is, as you walk into the far back left corner, there is a costume of Elphabas that, if you look very carefully in the plaque, it doesn't say original replica, it says original. And that is the only thing in the Orlando Wicked experience that was actually worn in the movie. In addition, I was lucky enough to get to see the Elphaba and Glinda meet and greet characters. However, don't count on being so lucky if you go yourself. I was told by the director that they are only going to appear sporadically as surprise and delight moments that are not on any schedule and will not be publicly announced. And will probably only be happening through the 22nd, through the day of the release. So
Honestly,
it's a shame.
I like that better, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it would have been boggled down with people trying to go.
Yes, and if you told people when these set times were, there would be a queue hours long forming to meet them. They were really excellent. They had great interaction. Really nailed the characters and the look. So yeah, it's a shame that can't become a permanent thing, but I can understand why it would probably be too popular to be efficient.
Oh, absolutely. But now that you said this is going to be a long running thing, who knows
Yep.
what they're going to do in the future?
Well, I have some thoughts about it. Well, first let's talk about a little about the
Yes.
merchandise. There is a wide selection of merchandise, everything from spirit jerseys and T-shirts to bags, candy bars. If you name it, they have made merch for this movie to go
I
with it.
love all the shiz line, like the
Yeah.
collegiate shiz looking stuff looks really good.
I think a lot of this is probably also available at Universal's online store, and will probably be available outside of Universal because they're pushing this everywhere. The only thing that you could not find, the a few days beforehand, I had seen some of the dolls and toys on the shelves, and those were all rapidly removed
Oh,
from
yes.
stores due to an erroneous website, which I will not mention here. I wonder if they're all going to reappear with little stickers glued
Oh,
over that or something, or if they're all just going to a landfill somewhere. Um, and I also got to make mention of some of the food. They've added some specialty menu items. In fact, they've turned that little food kiosk that's right on the corner as soon as you enter the park into Emerald City Treats. They've got a little scroll. It's a matcha pastry stuffed with strawberry mousse called
wow.
the Pink Goes Well with Green Scroll. That was pretty tasty. They've got a waffle topped with strawberries that it was a little sweet for breakfast, but it was very good. I got an emerald green donut, and I got a blue cocktail that was spiked with tequila, which I don't necessarily recommend at 9 a.m.
Was
Go
that
for the mocktail version of that one.
at Universal Hollywood? They have a lot more cocktail options. Like there's the Osmopolitan, and I've been hearing really good things about those. So I wish I knew a little more.
I know they've got some toothsome shake that's half green, half pink, and they had that blue tequila-based drink that I tried, but I don't know if they have any other cocktails at Orlando.
Oh, I have a firm no blue drink policy, so I'm glad you were able to try it.
Yeah. I try not to drink Windex too often. But, as you mentioned, there is also there's a Wicked themed retail location, two of them, one inside the park and one in City Walk over at Universal Studios Hollywood. I think it might have some prop displays, but not nearly as elaborate as what they did in Orlando. This isn't, of course, the first appearance of the Wizard of Oz in a theme park. There is a whole Oz land currently under construction in Warner Brothers Movie World in Australia that we've talked about in the past. And of course, you got to go to Beach Mountain, North Carolina, and experience the Land of Oz, which that was just amazing to hear about.
Absolutely. Do you think the potential of this movie, I'm assuming it's going to be very successful because I know we're a little bit too old, but the younger kids are very, very into it. Do you think that opens the potential for a land at Universal domestic parks?
I will say that it does seem like Comcast has put all of their media eggs in this basket this holiday season. Like they are putting a marketing push like I have not seen in a long, long time from any Universal film. And so if it is as successful as they are obviously hoping and praying that it will be, I think the idea of Wicked in a domestic park will be a no-brainer. If this passes $1 billion worldwide, then yeah, I can totally see it. And honestly, I can see it potentially happening in Orlando at Islands of Adventure.
Yep.
I know that there are areas set aside for future expansion at Epic Universe, but I honestly think that Wicked would be a perfect property to put either to replace the Lost Continent. We've heard rumors in the past about a Legend of Zelda area for Lost Continent, but you've got a stadium there, and they had a Wicked show in um, Universal Studios Japan that was very successful, and I can certainly see a version of that going in to an Orlando park. If not the Lost Continent, then I hate to say it, but maybe if Marvel Superhero Island ever goes away, if that contract ever gets renegotiated, Jim Hill has been talking about Wicked going in and replacing Marvel Superhero Island for 15 years. And who knows, maybe he will finally be right, because there's that Toon Lagoon Stadium been sitting empty. Stick Wicked in there, turn the Spider-Man ride into an Oz ride. Hey, Hulk is already green.
It's perfect. Yeah, I mean, just set it to the soundtrack of music. I mean, it would be...
I don't want to give him any ideas, because I still think that Spider-Man's one of my favorite rides ever, and I don't want to lose that, since we already lost the Japanese version of it. But if that has to happen, then I could get behind that as a replacement.
Same.
All right, let's move away from Universal and head on over to Disneyland Paris, where for the first time ever, Disney is going to be combining drones, fireworks, and projections all at one time into one show. This is going to be Disney Tales of Magic, debuting on January 10th, 2025 at the Disneyland Paris park. They announced the details of this back on November 12th.
Yes, they have really been upping their nighttime game, and I am very jealous.
I feel like Disneyland Paris gets a new nighttime show. They get like 3 new nighttime shows for every 1 new show we get in Orlando.
Right.
They just
I
guess that helps a lot, bringing in locals. People over and over again have a new reason every season, it seems like, to stick around after dark at Disneyland Paris. This time, they're combining fireworks with drones, which are provided by Droneasos, and projections developed by North House into one show for the first time. And I believe this is going to be the first time that Disneyland Paris is doing projection mapping, not only on their castle, but also on their buildings of Main Street.
Yes, and just based on these artist renderings, it looks quite amazing.
Yeah, they've got some really great renderings of Cinderella dancing with Prince Charming in silhouettes on the buildings of Main Street, while the fairy godmother appears on the castle itself, and got fire going off overhead. There's also a great rendering of a little green man from Toy Story formed out of drones, while you've got the castle all lit up. This looks like it's going to be a great show. I'm just sorry that I'm probably not going to get over to see it in person.
Well, I am going in March.
Oh,
so I will definitely be.
I can't wait to hear all about that.
And like what else I love about this is that the films and characters it takes from is heavily classics. Pinocchio, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and like not for nothing against all the newer hits and stuff, but these are just timeless stories. And I feel like my emotions are a little bit more pulled to the heartstrings during a nighttime show when it's these old classics.
Yeah, it also features Lilo and Stitch, but I guess now that that's getting a live action remake, the animated version counts as an old classic now.
I mean, it is,
which makes me feel old.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to go with Carly over to Disneyland Paris and check this out in person, our friends at Mouse Fan Travel are the ones to give you a free, no obligation quote. I don't know if our friends at Mouse Fan Travel, though, handle a lot of trips to Turkey. You can give them a call and ask, because Bikini Bottom theme park land is opening with 7 SpongeBob SquarePants rides at the Land of Legends theme park in Turkey. This is coming up on January 15th, 2025. This new theme park is debuting. The whole park has 14 rides as part of the new Nickelodeon land. and half of them are themed to SpongeBob.
I mean, it's a lot, especially considering there's like one Star Trek ride. So I'm
Right?
like, why are
Yeah,
there 7 SpongeBob's rides?
the balance does seem a little interesting, but from the renderings, the SpongeBob, the Bikini Bottom land kind of resembles. There's an indoor area at SeaWorld Abu Dhabi where all the kiddie rides are, and also the Mermaid Lagoon at Tokyo Disney Seas. This is an all indoor area of the theme park, and it's designed to look like you are under the water, under the sea with SpongeBob. So the rides that are included here, the headliner is SpongeBob's Crazy Carnival ride, which we've
Yep.
previously seen installed out in Las Vegas. That opened up back in March. That's a Salad Dark ride, and we actually saw that first previewed at IAPA back in 2023.
Yes, and they have made the prices on it more reasonable. So I think it's actually like not too decent of a price grab now. When it first opened,
Yeah, it was pretty pricey at first, but it's a better value now for sure.
Mhm.
But I think if you visit this new theme park in Turkey, you will get it included in the price of your admission, along with the Jellyfish Jam, which is a wave swinger ride. Sandy's Rocket Ride, which looks like a suspended dark ride that runs around the ceiling of the area. They've got a couple of mini drop towers called Plankton's Plunge. Snailways Express is a rotating bus ride for the little ones. Sandy's Power Plant is a kind of Nebula Z type spinning ride. And they've got a Flying Dutchman ghost ship, which is a swinging pirate ship. Of course, you can also meet SpongeBob and Patrick and other friends from Bikini Bottom. They're going to have little mini shows with dancing and meet and greets.
I love it. Yeah, it looks really cute. And I just love, outside of the domestic park, these entire lands that are fully indoors. It
Yes.
just looks like a fever dream.
Honestly, the way the weather is going, I wish someone would build an all indoor land in Orlando,
Same.
because between the heat and the rain, we could use it. As you mentioned, there's also a Nintendo Land here with only one ride called Wild Galaxy. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what the ride hardware is here. They've called it both a theater simulator and also a 5D ride. But the renderings they show don't show people on it wearing 3D glasses. So I'm not sure if it's exactly using 3D or not. But it does look like the type of system where you've got a moving seat inside a stationary theater with a large screen. And this one's going to be based on Star Trek Prodigy, which is the animated kids Star Trek series on Nickelodeon.
It looks really cool. I mean, the queue alone looks like it's going to be really, really cool experience.
Yeah, there's some fun, looks like little animatronic aliens and other exhibits to look at as you're waiting for that ride. And then the final land is an outdoor land called Adventure Bay Paw Patrol, based on the popular Paw Patrol characters. And this is a whole bunch of kiddie flat rides, spinning rides, little driving ride, parachute drop, things that you would see at a carnival, but all given a Paw Patrol look.
Yeah, Chase is on the case.
Yeah,
love it.
I actually think the most impressive thing about this whole project is the Nickelodeon Hotel and Resort opening also on January 15th. They've got rooms themed to Dora the Explorer and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And from the rendering, this looks a lot more upscale, a lot fancier than the old Nintendo hotel that we used to have in Orlando years ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this definitely looks quite impressive.
Yeah.
I've been dying to go to the ones in the Caribbean. I just haven't had a chance to do it. But this kind of looks fancier than those.
It looks very fancy, and they've got ones in Punta Cana, sorry, Dominican Republic, and Riviera Maya, Mexico. A little closer to home, we're going to be getting one of these in Kissimmee in 2026. So we'll have to see if it's quite as posh as this one looks.
Yes, I am not holding my breath.
All right. And for our final piece of news in the queue, if you are a fan of the classic sitcom Friends, you can celebrate the show's 30th anniversary with a Friendsgiving tour focused on the iconic show going on at the Warner Brothers Studio Tour in Hollywood. Our reporter, Samantha Davis Friedman, has a great rundown on everything that you will get to see on this special 90-minute Friends-themed tour, which focuses on visiting Stage 24, dubbed the Friends Stage, where the seasons 2 through 10 of the series were filmed.
Yes, I didn't know that they filmed one in a different studio because of Full House.
Yes. Yeah, the first season, I guess Full House was using that set, but starting in 1995, they moved in and they were there all the way through 2004 for the 10th season.
Yes,
You
and I
also,
love how
yeah.
Warner Brothers Studio Tour is doing all these like specialty limited time
Mhm.
tour offerings. You know, the Gilmore Girls activation. It's really cool that they do it, and definitely gives you that like revisit factor because there's always something new going on.
You also on this tour get to visit some of the outdoor locations on their back lot. You might recognize Brownstone Street, where they lost Marcel the monkey, the park where they go jogging, the spot where Ross gets a water balloon dropped on him, and then finally you'll end up with a catered buffet of Friendsgiving holiday food right outside, eating right near the iconic Friends fountain, which you'll be able to take pictures with, which is something that you normally don't get to do on the tour at the Warner Brothers studio.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest parts. Like you actually go to have a Friendsgiving.
Yeah. I think it's adorable how all of the food is assigned to one of the characters. I guess this is the character who had to prepare it. So it looks like Phoebe brought the tossed green salad and the green beans. Rachel made the biscuits. Ross makes lumpy mashed potatoes. You not do anything right. I'm delighted to see that Grandma Geller made her famous homemade soy riso stuffing. So you can enjoy that even if you don't eat meat.
Yes, yeah, these are pretty funny names, and this is also a great story. I mean, I would highly suggest taking the time to look through because there's so much detail, and you really get to see a lot of what this offers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for Samantha for bringing all this information to us. Got a lot of great trivia. And after you eat, you also get to take the self-guided tour of Stage 48, which includes the photo op on the original Central Perk set. So you won't want to miss that if you are a Friends fan. And of course, you can't leave without doing some shopping in the Friends boutique that's got exclusive Friendsgiving merchandise and a collection of 30th anniversary swag.
Yes, they really go all out. Friends is here forever. It's like on every channel every night.
Yeah, there's a bit of trivia here that I was not aware. It says that Friends is the most watched television show in history and one of the only shows that has been dubbed and translated into every language in every country. That is an impressive statistic. So
I don't know. I mean, do we believe that? I mean, in Africa.
I am not fact checking that. That's apparently what they say. And who am I who am I to doubt the geniuses at Warner Brothers?
Yes.
I mean, they were the folks who canceled Batgirl, so they must know what they're doing.
Yes.
These tours are offered 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. from November 16th, 17th, 21st to 24th, and 29th through 30th. So you've only got a few days to get this in. It costs $150 per person. Kids under age 5 are not permitted. And you can get more information by heading to wbstudiotour.com. All right, that is going to bring us to the end of our news in the queue. Before we jump into the main attraction, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
I don't think I can hear you.
All right.
You're muted.
For this week's main attraction, sorry about that.
Yes.
For this week's main attraction, Carly is up because she got to ride Tiana's Bayou adventure in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And we have an article on our website by Samantha Davis Friedman detailing the differences between the East and West Coast versions. But I want to hear from Carly what her thoughts were having been on both of them.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I mean, there's so many little details that make it all different. We learned at the event that the ride was designed for this former Splash Mountain. So, because the work was going on during the pandemic, so the Imagineers worked the attraction, created the attraction based on the Splash Mountain at Disneyland, which I thought was interesting, you know, because you have the same attraction on both coasts. This one to open up after, but it's really like that's the original, and Disney World is kind of like the copy of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I mean, in a way that's fitting because the Disneyland Splash Mountain existed first and the Disney World version came later. So it makes sense that they would, base it around the original. But there are differences in the layout, in the timing. So even if they did base it on that, there's got to be some changes, right?
Absolutely. And I will say, just as the main takeaway, even if you're not a ride nerd or have been invested in this for like years like us, if you rode Disney World and then you rode Disneyland, there is a cohesiveness to Disneyland because it's shorter and has less dead space. And I will tell you, I love the ride now. I didn't know how much that would make a difference. The pacing is perfect. It doesn't stop. You're going. And that made me like truly, I like the ride at Walt Disney World. And I love Tiana and I love the movie. Now I'm like, wow, this is a great ride because it's just, you lose something when you have dead space. Just like if you're going through like a haunted house at HHN and there's like weird dead space, you just fall out of it. This I felt in the entire time.
I feel like pacing is one of the most underappreciated elements of theme park design. A lot of times you think more is better. You know, the Disney World version's a minute or so longer in best case scenario. And I have found that the Walt Disney World version tends to back up more often. It's more off, before each of those little drops, I find that I spend more time waiting for the boat ahead of me to be released before I can do that, versus Disneyland. It seems to time out better for whatever reason. But even so, longer isn't always better. Having more time with the ride is not necessarily a good thing if there isn't more content to fill that time. I think this might be a case where the tightness, the compactness of Disneyland's version is actually a blessing, especially if they designed the number of animatronics to fill the space of the Disneyland version, and then you stretch that out in Walt Disney World, and you end up with gaps, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, it is the exact number of animatronics. And
Mhm.
the stretched out parts at Disney World, it's pretty to see, all the water lilies and whatnot, but still you're losing something from the pacing. And
Mhm.
at Disneyland, I can only speak from my experience, which was riding it like quite a few times in a row on an afternoon where it was a preview, but all the queues matched up. We hit every animatronic.
Mhm.
Nothing was broken. We got backed up maybe one time for like 3 seconds. You know what I mean? So it was really just like a fluid experience. And that honestly, like I said, like I I loved it. And I get
Yeah.
it now. And it's
I, I've made many attempts to do Tiana's in Magic Kingdom. Not all of them successful.
yeah.
But even when I have been able to get on the ride, I don't think I had a completely clean ride where no one was out of sync, or we didn't have like a large backup. So the fact that they seem to be hitting their marks, that the flow is better at Disneyland, that sounds like a big improvement for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm the same with you. I never have had a ride at Disney World that was
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah.
So that definitely kind of added to it. And then I go on this many times in a row, and every single ride just like it just hit all the marks. I will say I also like that I think the positioning. Obviously, you can't pick where a ride is located. Something about it being a little bit tucked away,
Mm.
and then the way you walk up to it and it kind of is revealed after walking past Haunted Mansion. I like that as opposed to at Magic Kingdom where it's just like there.
Well, and I kind of feel like thematically the flow from Frontierland, but then into New Orleans Square as a buffer between Frontierland and Bayou Country is kind of a better flow for the look of the mountain versus having it right up against Frontierland without
Right.
that New Orleans area as a buffer. Maybe if Pecos Bill ever gets turned into Tiana's Palace and they give that corner of Frontierland um, a new look, maybe when the Rivers of America go away, it'll tie in a little better. Who knows?
Yeah. And I also will say, I think it says something that there's so many other things to do that are Tiana related at Disneyland, from the food, from Tiana's Palace, just from walking through New Orleans Square. I know like these are things that we can't really do in Magic Kingdom, all
Mhm.
of it, but it just kind of makes a more cohesive, like you want to have like a Tiana day,
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
because there's enough to do.
It's something I'm curious about. I notice some little differences in the queues. For one, it looks like they've got a special queue in Disneyland for disabled guests for alternative access, that they have replicas of the props so those folks aren't missing out on anything.
Yes. So I will say if you are going through the standard queue, it is much less detailed and smaller than Walt Disney World's.
Mm,
So I
okay.
did like the Walt Disney World's queue better, but that's really just like spacing and whatnot. But I do appreciate that. So if you are going through that other accessible lane, I'm pretty sure it's very similar to what guests in the standard queue are seeing at the Disneyland version, but
That's
it
really
is
cool.
much more tuned down than
Mhm.
Disney World just based on space.
Did you happen to notice, is the single rider line coming back? That was one thing that Disneyland always had that Walt Disney World never did.
I am not sure if they said it was coming back at this time.
I hope so, because honestly, I would hardly ever ride Splash Mountain without the single rider line. It was a great shortcut.
Yeah. And the new shops are adorable. They have the raised berets, which are so cute. They have the little like chair of Mama Odie in there. I mean, they really did. Again, like it just feels. I think it's like the position of the ride, the way you go hang out in New Orleans Square. You get your mint julep. There's so many like New Orleans foods over there. Makes it more of a cohesive experience. And again, like the ride itself was just flowing. And I believe it's a 1 minute difference between Disneyland and Disney World. And I guess a lot can happen with the removal
Yeah.
of 1 minute of quiet space.
And like I think that 1 minute is probably a best case scenario because I've had rides on that that took 5 minutes longer than they should have just because of backed up boats.
Wow.
So when they did they reopen the window for the train to look in on the finale?
You know what? I didn't notice it from the boat. Didn't get a chance to go on the train. I wanted to, but I didn't notice it while riding because I did look, and it could have been I missed that. But yes, I'm pretty sure that they haven't yet.
Good, because that was always a nice little
Oh, yeah.
surprise, especially for maybe kids who are too little to be able to ride the ride. They still get to see a little bit of the finale.
Yes,
Um,
and we have to talk about the wet thing because
I was just gonna say we gotta talk about the elephant in the room, which is a lot of folks have been posting on socials and stuff saying that they are getting much, much wetter on this new ride, this new version of the ride than they did when it was Splash Mountain. So what's your take?
Yes, so I was very paranoid because I saw so many videos and pictures online of people getting soaked. It was not a hair wash day for me, so I did not want to get soaked. So I did get to ride it multiple times. I sat in different positions in the boat. I was with an almost full boat. I never rode it by myself. I did wear a poncho. The interesting thing was I did get kind of soaked when I sat in row 2. But it actually wasn't even from the final drop. It was from the smaller drops. On one of the smaller drops, I literally got pelted in the face with water, my legs and my feet. I did wear sandals because I knew I didn't want to, there's nothing worse than getting your sneakers wet, especially out there. It's not hot, so they would not have dried. But I could see, I guess, based on where you're sitting, weight distribution, I can definitely see why some people are getting soaked and why sometimes the boats are getting, extra wet and there's water in there when you get in. But I rode row 4 a few times, and that was the least that I got wet. So maybe sit towards 3 or 4. Reminder: this is a different ride vehicle than Disney World, where you're 2x2. This is just you. Yeah, and it is weird, without nothing restraining you. I did kind of hold the seat in front of me during that big drop because it is quite intense. But wear a poncho and be careful with your shoes.
Yeah, I always suggest high quality, not cheap flip flops because you will kill your feet, but good quality sandals or river rafting sandals. If you're going on water rides, rather than there's nothing worse than walking around with wet shoes and socks all day.
And you know what? That's a lot of the time why I don't go on something is because I don't feel like getting wet. And I know a lot of people feel that way too. This is definitely worth it because it's a great, great ride. But yes, I would definitely be prepared. I don't usually wear a poncho, but I did, and it worked for me. So, I did also, I will say, during the final drop, I cocooned my body deep down.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you don't want to get your face and your hair wet. It's uncomfortable. So I would just be prepared because you will get wet, but maybe not as it's being, played out, online,
Yeah.
dramatics.
No, there's been a lot of dramatics about it. It was called Splash Mountain, and I believe that those big water cannons that would shoot off on the drop that would soak the people who were just floating past the drop, not even on the drop. I don't believe those are being used anymore.
No.
I always thought that, for me, if you go on a water ride and you get splashed by the drop, that's fair play. But when they just shoot water at you for no good reason and get you wet, that's that's not even fair.
Yes, I haven't seen this yet, but SNL did a skit about this on Saturday night. It was Disney adults complain they're getting wet on a water ride.
Oh my God.
I have to watch it.
I have to watch that. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it was Colin Jost, so I'll have to look that up.
My God. Well, if you want to make a comparison of yourself and you can't get there in person, we have videos on our website with full POVs of both the Magic Kingdom and the Disneyland version. So sync them up side by side and let us know what you think. Just keep in mind that they are using the virtual queue for Tiana's. So there is no standby line. If you want to ride, you have to either join the virtual queue, and that is dropping at 7 a.m. I believe 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. are the
1 and 4, yeah, 7,
4.
1, 4.
And they're still right now using virtual queue also for Haunted Mansion Holiday, and I believe that you can only hold one at a time. So you can get one of them at 7 and then hope to get the other one during a later. Though I hear that Haunted Mansion Holiday might be going to standby sooner rather than later because they just finished up that courtyard. Did you happen to take a
Yes,
look at the courtyard, the
I
area
did.
around there?
Yes, it just had opened up, I believe, the day that I got to Disneyland. So it looked amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say, the highlight of the party. I know we were there for Tiana, but they also had Haunted Mansion Holiday
It's the
open, and no one was going on. And so I went on it like 3 times in a row to
Yes.
get my fix because I don't have patience for a virtual queue. So I'm like, I'm just getting all my fix in for the year.
If you also don't have patience for the virtual queue, they have included Tiana's as part of Lightning Lane Multipass. But that's if Magic Kingdom version is anything to go by, it will be challenging to get those. Those always go very quickly.
Yes, I'm
So-
very curious just to see how this plays out. I'm really curious also when each of the prospective parks are going to go to the standby queue, because I feel like for Disney World, they really emphasize like this is just going to be for a little bit. And like now it's not a little bit anymore.
Well, I mean, we had Tron for well over a year on standby or on virtual queue only, and Guardians of the Galaxy still hasn't gotten off of it.
Yeah.
So we will see. We will see. But if you want to take a trip to either of these parks to experience Tiana's in person, our friends at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel can help get you there. All right, that is going to bring us to the end of our main attraction. Before we wrap it up, let's take a look back at some of the comments that you folks left us in the queue. Michael Bingham agrees with your opinion. Disneyland during the Christmas holidays is a must.
Oh yeah.
And he's also ready for Epic Universe, wishes it was open already. So do all the people working on it, I'm sure. My next door neighbor is one of the people working on building it, and he's tired of getting home at 4 in the morning or going to work at 4 in the morning for sure.
Crazy.
Carmine C. Dinosaur had a suggestion that maybe the original animatronics for the Disneyland and Magic Kingdom Splash Mountain rides should be shipped to Tokyo Disneyland Splash Mountain. I will say Tokyo Disneyland Splash Mountain is probably the best version of Splash Mountain. They basically got the Disney World version, but plussed. And honestly, they don't need anything from Disney. Where their animatronics are in great shape. They know how to maintain things out there and keep things up to opening day quality. They don't need any help for. And honestly, like the Disneyland ones, those go all the way back to America Sings, the old carousel theater.
So my
show
idea or my dream, if I had a dream, is that we would get rid of the show at America Adventure and bring America Sings with those animatronics. I mean, that would just be like my dream.
American Adventure replaced by America Sings.
Yes.
Okay, that is a bold opinion. I would probably keep the American Adventure and get rid of the Hall of Presidents, if you ask me.
So I would rather do that, but realistically, I don't see that happening. So that is why I had to go to America Adventure. But I would definitely have thought about this.
Or maybe we just move Muppet Vision into the Hall of Presidents. Like you walk in and they say it's still the Hall of Presidents, but then it starts and the Muppets just take over.
Perfect.
Well, thank you to all of you who left us comments. And before we go, we want to thank our sponsors, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, one more time. Want to remind everyone to please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you happen to listen to us. And like and subscribe here on the YouTube feed if you're watching us live. Also, be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com and search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media platforms. Carly, where can folks find you?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Adventures by Carly and on X and TikTok at Carly Caramano.
And you can find me at Eskuberski or at The Unofficial Guides. And I am on Threads and Blue Sky.
Oh,
Instagram too. I finally signed up for Blue
There's
Sky.
it's so hard to keep up. It's so
I know.
important, but
Tell me
it's so
about
hard.
it.
So
There
much.
needs to be like a one ring of social media, like one app that controls all your other apps, so I don't have to know what I'm posting on or what I just do it on one app and it
It is
does it to all the
it
others.
is quite stressful. It is
Yeah.
also like all the cords I have to travel with because everything uses different ones. I mean,
Lightning, USB-C.
simplify my life, please.
Well, yeah, you can also find my books at theunofficialguides.com and pre-order The Unofficial Guide to Universal Orlando 2025 coming out in just a few days.
Yay.
And until next week, we hope that you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun, and we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.